This is Shortham. It is the 9th of February 2020, and this is Trading Zones. Today we're looking at ABBV on the daily chart. Now, this was a trade that we jumped in right around this 81, actually like 82.15, like the setup on the daily. As we push back up, got in on, let's see, and got in here, and it was a nice push. And I exited here, actually. Didn't take this next ride. But I still like ABBV. And just based on the technical setup, we tagged this 92.90 area, pull back a little bit. So what I'll be watching for Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, depending how this thing sets up, is a break above the 92.90s and a potential squeeze into the 98s. We'll see how that works. If we struggle to get over the 92.90s, I'm not going to get into a trade in between here. The most I would do is wait for a pullback into the 88.70s right here. And I'll either get long off of this if I see bullish candle formations on the intraday, or if we fail below and it looks a little bit weak, I'll fade it and probably exit as we drop down into this 84, 85-ish area. So I'll be keeping an eye on ABBV. If you drop down to the 4-hour, looks a little bit bullish, like it really wants to go. So we'll see how we open on Monday and how the overall market looks, and how this reacts to the market, if it's gonna move with the market or move with the news. Just had earnings. We'll see if we get a squeeze through this 92.90 area and a run up. So I'll be watching this. A break over the 92.90s and bullish candle formations on the intraday. I'll be long this in the money probably. I'll be long this and riding this back up. We'll see how that works. Let's switch back to the daily chart and let's jump on over to check out Netflix. Where are we on Netflix? No, on the daily, we see a little bit of rejection here on Netflix. We're still above the 361.70s. So not bearish yet. Waiting for a push up into the 370s and a break over and hold to get long. If we pull back into the 361 area and I see on the intraday bullish candlestick formations, I'll be getting long off this 361 area with the push and bearish candlestick formations below as my exit. And if we drop below this and I see a pullback to this then weakness, then I'll be fading this 361 area down into the 355, potentially the 343. But even if we're having a trend down day, I don't know if there'll be enough volume to tank this to the next area immediately, or should I say on the intraday. So I'll probably be scaling out of this on the pull down. So we'll see how this shakes out Monday, because we could easily be gapped up or gapped down. But I'm going to play off the zones based on where we are at the open. I'm still keeping an eye out on that 485 area. I mean, not 385 area. This area here that has been a brick wall. If we get through this and I see bullish candlestick formations above, I'm treating this a lot like Tesla. If you want to get more information on that, check our previous video. I believe it was Trading Zones episode 2. But keeping an eye on Netflix and seeing if we can get some movement on this one to the upside, or if it's weakness to the downside. Either way, we'll play either way. I love this little plateau here at around 343. It's like a natural resting place if we crack below this 361. So we'll see how that shakes out. Take a peek at the 4-hour. Drop down a little bit. 4-hour. Looks like we can go either way. We'll see if we have the strength to punch through or retest back into these 370s. We'll see how that shakes out. Okay, switch back to the daily. take a peek at CMG. CMG on the daily. We were saying that if we get weakness below 856, watch for 823. And above 856, watch for the 888 area. So keeping an eye on this. We'll see what happens. But right now, the buyers are keeping us above this 856, and it's trying to get a run. There was a light call sweep for the 880 area, I believe, with the expiration either this week, meaning 214 or 221. I cannot remember exactly, but keep an eye on CMG for a move either direction. The reaction to earnings seems muted, and we've seen that before. When you see the earnings on CMG and it's not moving 75, 80 points in either direction, a big move is coming. Keep your eye on CMG. We're probably going to get a 100-point move, either up or down. They did miss earnings, I believe. So keep an eye on CMG. No matter what it does, keep an eye on CMG. There's a big move coming. So I'll be watching this. If we see some serious bearish action below this 856, I will be short CMG and fading this bad boy. And I think 823 is not too much to ask. I think 780s is not too much to ask. If it pops the top, maybe we're going to squeeze. We'll see how that shakes out, but I'll be watching for it. Either way, I'm watching CMG for a big move. Last earnings, they beat big, and they still sold off. This earnings, they missed, and the reaction is muted. I usually expect 75 points or more out of CMG. Didn't get that yet, not the way that I want it, so we'll see how this shakes out. I will be watching closely. Okay, let's move. So let's see, Dr. Pick at the 4 hour. Little curve here. We'll see if we get a squeeze. We'll see. Okay. Check out NVDA. So we're right around this 252 area, but we're right below it on the daily. I'll check the lower time frame here. So if we hold this, a break above this 254 area, we've got room into 260. We'll see how that shakes out. If we fade down, we have the 247, and then a natural resting place here on the 242. Keep an eye on the market trend this week. I don't think the market is pricing in the coronavirus and how the global supply chain is being interrupted by that. We'll see how that shakes out and how that resolves. But if you take a look at the numbers just seem to be spiraling up. So we'll see if that is something that the market starts to really react to. I don't think the market is. If this is a pandemic, the market isn't accurately pricing in the disruption that it could really cause. We'll see. And maybe I'm just looking at it incorrectly, but when you start having airlines canceling flights and cruise ships canceling flights, that's a major disruption as far as economically. That's a major economic disruption when you have these corporations that are shutting down operations based on whatever the incident or whatever the thing may be. So we'll see how the market reacts to that this week, heading into next week. Those numbers keep going up. We'll see. But NVIDIA, I believe there was a mention that, well, we'll see. I won't get into rumors about NVIDIA. We're just going to watch these technical levels and see how it shakes out. Uptrend is still intact. And I'm just watching it closely, seeing what we do. If we drop down to the 4 hour, see what we look like. Let's see if we get a pop here. and a squeeze. That would be great. So we'll see how the market opens. I'll be watching the trend, see if we're uptrending or downtrending. And old reliable Amazon. And Amazon, we said over the 250, watch 275, over 275. Over 2050, watch 2075. Over 2075, watch a squeeze up into the 2100. So we had the 2092 marked, 2075 marked, and the 2050s marked, and the 2000s marked. These aren't new lines, guys. Check out the videos. The Trading Zones, episode 1, episode 2. I mentioned Amazon and the levels in all those videos and what to watch for. And if we drop this bad boy down to the 4-hour, we just saw this run up right through. Look at that. Just beautiful. So we'll see what tomorrow brings, if we're gonna be fading or if we're gonna be up. But watch the 2075. If we're below that, we might fade. If we're above that, buyers can step in and give us another squeeze and a run back into the 2092, near the 2100 area. A little bit of supply up here, so just watch for this as we either push up off of this 2075, which is the zone, or push below it and maybe push to the 2050s. But we're above that previous all-time high. So we'll see how the market reacts to this level. If we're bullish next week or bearish next week, I'll still be watching these levels closely. This is our old buddy GOOS. And GOOS, when it seems to be approaching these 33.30 so far, it's been having a rough time getting over that. And here had a rough time. It shook me out of a long position on this drawback. And here again, I didn't get in because I'm like, hey, this time I'm going to wait for the break and hold of 33.70s and I'll get in. Never got there. Pull back. Earnings is on, did they have earnings already? Looks like they did have earnings. I have to check that out. But, really? Why did I think their earnings was out? I'll check their earnings. But these levels, if you look at the daily chart, from these levels, we've seen pushes and runs up into the 40s. So I'll be keeping an eye on GOOS to see if these levels produce another push up and another run into the 35s or the potentially into the 40s. So GOOS is on my watch list. I'm watching for either a crack. Pull this up. Let's look at the weekly real quick. Just so I want to see what we're looking at here. Bigger picture. Okay. So we have room down to 25 if we're super bearish. We'll see how that works. So I'm looking either for a pop back and a hold of 32.20s, then a push above 33.70s, and from this area, I'll look for a run into the 35s to the potentially the 40s. If we stay below this, I'm looking for a drop down to the 26 to the 24s. I like the structure. So we look like. Look at all these areas, like the structure here. Yeah, right around 24.32. So here, 26 first stop. So I'll be keeping an eye on GOOS, seeing which way we go. I'm gonna check out the earnings, get through that transcript, and I'll be taking a look to see what it's saying. You know, if I missed it on Friday, I do want to dig in and sort of see what the transcript says. So I'll be watching GOOS. And I think that is, let's see how Microsoft looks. And Intel, I think all these things are at all-time highs. Look at that. Oh, wowzers. That is, market's insane right now. We'll see how this works out. Microsoft is interesting. So Microsoft, for me, how would I play Microsoft? We're below this 183.89. We have support in the 170, 179 area. So for me, I'm going to wait to see if we stay below this 183. I might be looking for a short position to markets bearish. If we push above the 185s, I'm taking this bad boy long. I'm not going to try to guess the top, but I'm just going to play the levels and play what I have here. And if it pushes all time highs, I'm long. Like there's no doubt. So we'll see if this is just a pullback and if the buyers step in and give us a squeeze. But I'm watching closely. They're saying a lot of things about Apple, and I think it's called Foxconn, that the Chinese government has not reopened or allowed them to reopen their factory, or the factory that produces the pieces and the parts for the Apple phone. So we'll see how if Apple's going to drag this market down, and a few other tickers are going to drag this market down, or if we're going to see a pop. And how bullish can this market remain under the coronavirus pressure, and what's going on with the supply chain around that, and that impact on different companies and corporations. We'll see. Take a peek at Apple. 4 hour. So we have a level here, the 318s. If that holds, I'll be long Apple, riding this back up into the 321, 322 area. If this fails, I'll be fading Apple and looking at this little past gap area, just 314, then into the 312s, maybe lower. If we're gap down, I play off the level that's either below or above. Bearish or bullish candlestick formations will give me my entry on the intraday, utilizing the power of pivots. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I'm neither bearish or bullish on the market. I'll just see where we open, and I'll see if we're trending up or trending down. So I'm gonna wait to see, or is it going to be a range day? And based on that, I'll determine what ticker I'm getting in, what levels, and what I'm gonna play. If we're range bound, I'm gonna watch the open. If we're not strongly bullish or strongly bearish, I'll watch the open, and I'll wait for the levels to declare themselves, and then I'll get in based on that range. Whatever that range is what I'll play. So we'll see. But I will be watching Apple. Let's see, where's Intel? Nice pullback on Intel. Let's see if we find buyers around the 65.50s. If we do, this may buy right back up in the 66.30s. So we'll see how this works. If we hit this, because I don't have a play right now, and if I was to get in, the only position I'd have would be short, just looking at the daily chart, and my stop being a push and hold above the 66.30s and a fade into this 65.50 area. And so I'm not interested in that right now. I'll see how this shakes out Monday, and if we continue to sell, and we get below the 65.50s, then I might be short into the 63.70s. I don't like to get in the middle of zones usually, unless I get something different as far as a pivot setup, an intraday structural pivot setup, candle setup. I usually will not be jumping in the middle of zones. So we'll see how this shakes out. I will put Intel on the list. Okay, I think that's good. It's what I'll be watching. If you liked this video, please don't hesitate to tap the like button. And if you'd like to receive more videos like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Power of Pivots, where you can receive content from me, but also content from Elisa as she shows you how she utilizes her Power of Pivot script to find great intraday entries and also swing setups. She plays the futures. It's all types of things that she plays, not just regular tickers, also the futures, and also penny stocks. She plays a little bit of everything. But look forward to more content from us, and thank you for your time.